fans. But two things you do need to consider, and not that this is a concern in Buffalo, but a reason why people may be saying, why not New York City? It's obvious. New York City, the cases are through the roof, even though they're not the hotspot they once were. There are just certain places you don't want to go because of the higher risks. That's understandable. The flip side of that, Ron, is as you say, if you are going to allow fans, I thought it was interesting. Ted Leonsis kind of did some math on this, and this is why I think you won't allow fans. So even if you did social distancing, 6 feet apart, whatever, with the seats, and let's say in a 20,000-seat arena that allowed you to have 5,000 fans, he outlined waiting to get in, not even worrying about how they're going to get out of there, but waiting to get in, 880 people in a line space 6 feet apart. The line stretches over a mile long. Where are those people going to wait? Where are they going to stand? How are you going to get them all safely into the building? And are you going to be doing testing and temperature checking on them as well? I just don't think it's worth it if you're going to play to have fans anywhere near the building. I also think the NHL is already looking at unique camera angles and different ways of game presentation that they'll be able to utilize an empty arena. So I think at this point the conversation of fans being allowed in the building is moot until next season.
All right, let's get to the game in general. The Penguins lose another offensive stalwart, and it seems like guys are dropping left and right. We're not even playing hockey, and guys are dropping left and right. Yeah, the Penguins are going to be one of the 24 teams, but realistically, how far can the Penguins go? This has been an injury-plagued year to begin with.
You know, Ron, I feel so bad for the Penguins, and it's not their fault, but holy cow. Like all we have talked about this entire season when you and I have talked hockey and the Penguins is who's hurt now. And as you mentioned, we're not even playing hockey. And it's mind-blowing to me what this team has had to go through. Realistic chances, though, they're going to come back. They will be one of the teams, I think, that, and this is where the arguments from teams that were going well and were playing well come in, that it's not quote-unquote fair. Because in a 5-game series, you run into a hot goalie from the other team, you can get dusted. You could lose just because you don't get it going in time. And that's why I think it's important that teams ramp it up as much as they can and extend training camp to what looks like 3 weeks. So, but the Penguins have a realistic chance because they still have a lot of talent. I mean, you look down the names on this roster, and there is a ton of talent. And I understand there's a cloud right now over Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry and what they're going to do with the goaltending situation, and which, by the way, I think a lot more has been made of than needs to be made of it. I think it's a little too much. Murray is still an incredibly capable NHL goaltender. Tristan Jarry is still a kid who's going to need time to develop. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I feel like the Penguins have a strong chance if they get in and get it in gear. That said, isn't that the challenge of every single team out there? The reason why I like the Penguins, I think they have the coaching, as they have had all season, to be able to do this. I really like the Penguins as far as being a veteran team as well, Ron. I think that plays into it. They're not a younger team. They're going to be able to pace themselves into this properly. And I believe they have the leadership to get ready and get going. So I actually think things play out in favor of the Penguins.
Are there any teams that you see can benefit from the little break where maybe they can get a little bit more healthy than they were? Maybe they can bounce back from maybe not having a lot of momentum heading into the downstretch, but still very talented teams like that you think can make a run?
Absolutely, and I think there are a lot of teams around the league that get big names back, including Pittsburgh with Jake Gensel, if he's able to make it back, which he should by then. I'll tell you the other teams that come to mind, Vancouver. You want to talk about a team that was in trouble and spiraling out of control that has now made this 2014 playoff because their goaltender, Jacob Markstrom, who carried them all year, was hurt. So now Markstrom will be back. He'll be healthy, and he is the reason Vancouver went anywhere this year. So that's a big one. St. Louis is going to get Vladimir Tarasenko back, and he is probably the most lethal player who missed time in a major way this year. Tarasenko missed a ton of time. And St. Louis thought, well, if we run all the way through, we just don't have Tarasenko. Well, now they might. and he can come back and be healed and ready to play. Even if he comes in one of the later rounds, that's still an incredible weapon to add. And there are cases with other franchises where these guys, players can be added and will come back, and that does a lot of teams. But Vancouver is by far and away, with the re-addition of Markstrom, that bolsters their chances. I don't think they're good enough to make a deep run, but he could steal a series or two for them.
Well, and Vancouver is the J.T. Miller, and J.T. Miller is born and raised in East Palestine, Ohio, where the YSN studios are located. So we're closet Vancouver Canuck fans, hoping Vancouver does make a deep run in the Western Conference.
You know, and I think, and Ron, we've talked about JT before, I think he's one of the reasons why Vancouver was able to get it in gear this year, and I think a very underrated member when he was with Tampa Bay. I think that people did not appreciate his contributions as much because there was, let's face it, there's a lot of star power with the Lightning, and a lot of people looking at players like Point, like Stamkos. It just, you get overshadowed, and I can understand it. I think his contribution to the Canucks has been tremendous because he is a grit guy. He is a guy who drives the bus, and I think that the Canucks have benefited from him quite a bit. I think I'd love to have him on my team.
Well, he's not a superstar, but he plays the second banana role better than most anyone in the NHL.
Yeah, he really does, and you know what? His personality suits it. You know, at least outwardly, and I don't know him personally, but he's not the kind of guy that you see out there going, yeah, well, what about me? What about me? He does what he's supposed to do to help the team win, seems to enjoy the role. He relishes it, everybody likes to win, right? I think Miller is a perfect player in a team, and I'll tell you what, the Canucks could use a couple of superstars, and they would be a much better team, but when you got a guy like that, again, who I feel like really pushes things, that's a big reason why I feel that the Canucks got to where they did this year at that in the play of Markstrom, and with Markstrom coming back, who knows, especially in a best of five, all you have to do is win 3 games, you get hot coming out of the gate, it's entirely possible that, they find themselves in the 16 teams, and then anybody can dance from there.
Off the top of your head, who is one or two teams that we're going to have to look out for potential long playoff runs?
I think Tampa and Boston are still built for it. We saw, obviously, the upset that happened last year. Oh, by the way, Columbus is another team I'll mention. They'll get Seth Jones back on defense. That's a huge addition for the Blue Jackets, or at least they should. And all these, put an asterisk next to all of these. These guys should be ready to return, but who knows with the layoff. And I think, so that's a team that if they get going, might be able to do something in the West. I still think it's on St. Louis as the defending champion. I really like them. I'm still not believing in Edmonton just because I feel like Mike Smith can win you a series, but he can also lose you a series in net for Edmonton. So I don't think they ever really had a chance to rectify that, and they didn't. So, St. Louis is a big one for me. I wonder, Ron, if any of the teams getting in that might not have otherwise, like the Islanders, the Canadians, are they going to do any damage? It's so hard to say, but I can never count out a Barry Trotz-coached team, so I will say the New York Islanders have some dark horse potential here.
Yeah, it was a perfect segue because I was about to ask you if you had to pick one team that you could say a dark horse Stanley Cup champion, who would you kind of pick?
Sure, and so that would be my Eastern pick. And out West, you look at the teams that have gotten in here, and a lot of it centers around the Central Division. Nashville was playing really, really well and might actually benefit from having a layoff and now a new coach coming in and being able to have a training camp where he can install his system and really retrain the players instead of trying to do it in the middle of the season. I think that perhaps the Predators could benefit from that in the West. But I do like Dallas. I like the way the Stars are built. I feel they have a lot of talent on that team. I can't call Colorado, by the way, a dark horse. I didn't mention the Avalanche. They have to be listed as one of the favorites. But I feel like they're still, to a certain extent, playing in the shadow of St. Louis. And so I will not call it surprising if Colorado does well, but I think a lot of people overlook them because of St. Louis being in the same division, and you definitely should not overlook the Colorado Avalanche.
All right, Tom, before we let you go, obviously you're also a baseball fan, and it's pretty apparent that the Players Association and the owners distrust each other. We had Major League Baseball writer John Parado on, and he said, as much as I hate to admit this, being a baseball reporter, I think Major League Baseball should have a blackout in terms of their progress or lack thereof in the negotiation period. Do you agree with that? And do you think that when it's all said and done, we will have baseball on July 4th?
Oh, Ron. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. There's no baseball on July 4th. As much as I want baseball to come back, baseball, it looks right now, baseball is going to miss the season. I really feel like we might end up with another 1994 on our hands because of money. And there's the owners are greedy and want to hold on to as much of their money as possible. The players are greedy and want to hold on to as much of their money as possible. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's understandable. However, I feel like this is now about money. And so when you talk about a blackout, there is nothing that turns people off in general conversation, especially when it comes to sports, faster than involving politics in sports or money in sports. It's polarizing, especially because most of the fans, 99% of the fans, cannot comprehend the money these guys make. And to all of us, we think to ourselves, are you kidding me? You don't want $6.5 million this year? Okay, maybe you were supposed to make 20, but $6.5 million? Do you know what I could do with $6.5 million? It outrages millions of people to think that way. And that's the natural thought process. So maybe they should have a blackout over this. And I hate to say it, Ron, but I really feel like everything I've been reading, coming out of both sides, they're miles apart. I don't see how they're going to fix this. And they're going to miss, and it's not going to be because of health-related concerns. It's going to be because they couldn't figure out the monetary aspect of it. And to me, that is what's going to kill the fans the most. They are going to be angry about that, and it's going to linger. The effect of this will linger if they don't get it in gear.
Yeah, Anthony and I have a little disagreement. I think there are three dark clouds, one that is currently over the head of Major League Baseball and two that are on the horizon. The second dark cloud is after the 2020 season is over, whether we play or not, after the calendar 2020 season, Major League Baseball is looking to take 42 minor league teams and put them out of existence. And then after the 2021 season, the contract is up, and the players and the owners are going to probably have a long, arduous journey to put together some kind of unity and some kind of a contract together. I honestly believe if Major League Baseball whiffs and does not play in 2020, and they go about doing the getting rid of 42 minor league baseball teams, baseball as we know it is dead. And this game as we know it has died. And yeah, maybe Major League Baseball in another form comes to life, but I think that the popularity of baseball goes silent.
And it's precarious as it is now, Ron. I don't believe that a lot of the current generation of kids growing up are picking baseball as their sport. They're picking other things. And baseball is an untimed game. It has a pace all its own. It's something that I think you don't actually appreciate until you're older. Because as a kid, as a 9-year-old kid, you want action, 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 or you're picking daisies out in right field. And I say this as a former right field daisy picker. It's tough. It's tough to keep everyone involved and make them want to stay tuned in. But that's where your fans are going to come from. And you know where that happens? Minor league baseball. You know, those kids can touch and feel and see the game and see guys who are playing this game because they love it, because they want to make it, because they have a burning desire for it. And they can go to a stadium and they can be close to the grass and they can have a hot dog and a pop and be there with family or, friends. And the lifeblood of the game of baseball. And taking away those franchises, honestly, Ron, I'd love to see independent league ball come back, even if it ends up being in a smaller, shorter season. I think a lot of along the collegiate wood bat leagues, I don't want to see it be quite that level. I'd like it to be higher. But Major League Baseball is looking at this as operating the chain and its cost and its money. Once again, it's dollars and cents. I don't think this is what's best for the game and growing the game, let alone keeping it where it is. You can't afford to lose more people. And I think you're right. I think they really do need to realize that this game could fade from popularity easily within the next 10 to 20 years if they don't do something about it right now. And if they begin to shutter things like that, that is the beginning of the end of life as we know it. The major leagues will continue, and some of the top minor leagues will continue, but you'll have less kids playing the game, less talent available. It's just going to go away in popularity.
Well, and I've said this. I mean, one of the major problems that baseball has had, we have not had a day World Series game in forever. And I understand television ratings and the TV network executives are going to determine that they want to have, a primetime audience. But, you haven't had a day baseball game in 30 some odd years. That goes hand in hand with the argument that Major League Baseball took a back seat to the National Football League in about the mid-'90s. They officially took that back seat. That was the first wave of kids that didn't get an opportunity on the East Coast and the Central Time Zone to watch a World Series from start to finish. And now you have hardly any kids that encompass 85% of our nation's population in the Eastern and Central Time Zone. Most of those kids don't watch a World Series game or watch the entire World Series from start to finish because we don't have day baseball. And that has affected two generations of baseball fans. The future of this game is not in good shape. There is a reason why Major League Baseball's average age is by far the oldest of all the four major sports leagues in this country.
Yeah, and it is, Ron. It's an time game. It's kind of like golf. I think a lot of people pick it up in middle age. The youngsters, for one, more time. Activity I would like to spend 4 hours doing, where half your time is spent waiting for the other guy to hit the ball. So that's kind of the same thing with baseball. Is there's 7 guys out there on the diamond waiting for the pitcher and catcher and batter to do something. And if you're one of those other 7 guys, I don't know that you're selling that game to this generation of kids as something that's exciting to do. It's hard, but you're also, if you don't put that product, the professional product, whether minor league or major league, in the hands of as many of those kids as possible and give them idols and people to look up to, then you are going to kill the sport. That's just the way it is. And it's sheer numbers, because if you're not playing, you need to be watching. And if you're not watching, you're not thinking about baseball at all. And if you're not thinking about baseball at all, there's other things that will fill up your time.
No doubt. Hey, Tom, always a pleasure. Look forward to hopefully talking playoff hockey very, very soon.
Thank you, Ron. Always appreciate you guys having me on. And, yeah, hopefully we're talking training camps here in July, and then we could start breaking down some matchups.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would definitely be fun. Fingers crossed on this. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Ron. Take care.
You got it. Tom Callahan, our hockey guru, talking some pucks. God, I hope we can get some hockey. I mean, it's weird that we would talk hockey in July and August because normally that is the off season. But, 2020 is already screwed up in a lot of ways due to the pandemic. And look, if we have to crown a Stanley Cup champion in early October and then start the next hockey season in January, so be it.
I like what he said, because when he talked about the teams that could you'll make a run. Man, the Avalanche are so under the radar because they're in the same conference as the Blues. And And they have all the talent in the world to go win a Stanley Cup championship, and no one talks about it because they're overshadowed. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I know he wouldn't be surprised if the Avalanche go in and win a Stanley Cup.
Be fun. It'd be real fun to talk some playoff hockey and just look. I mean, at Major League Baseball, take note. If you're not the first major sport back and the National Hockey League takes that mantle from you, I would not want to be in Rob Manfred's shoes. And look, this is an owner and player thing. They've screwed this up, and hopefully they don't screw this up beyond repair. They got to get their stuff together, because if you can get baseball started with training camp in early June, then I think Major League Baseball takes advantage of that opportunity for that sport to get some popularity back, and Major League Baseball needs that popularity back in the worst way.
Pressure's cooking, and eventually it's going to be either let Rome burn, like one of our callers said earlier today, and it's going to be a near-no situation, or the pressure's going to make one of these two or both of them kind of work towards the middle ground and get something done, because those are the two options.
Yeah, either get it done or your sport suffers tremendously, and I don't want to see this sport suffer tremendously. It's already suffering tremendously with our commissioner. I don't want to see any more damage done. All right, we're going to take a time out. On the other side, we'll take some more of your phone calls. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
They say American craftsmanship is making a comeback. Of course, at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, it never went away.
People are floored by Baird Brothers' authentic hardwood floors. They stare at our stairs and adore our doors. Baird Brothers reflects 3 generations of family craftsmanship. Visit our huge in-stock selection in person or at BairdBrothers.com.
Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. I just learned a lesson.
You dug in that Reese cup.
Yep. Dug it in a little too quickly.
Yep.
Doggone it.
Peanut butter will do that to you.
Oh, my goodness. All right, 330. God, I hate when that happens. 330-886-0813. That is the number to call with you right up until the top of the hour. And, all right. Yeah.
You good?
I'm good. All right, so obviously our boss can hear us, but who do you got in this 40-yard dash on Friday?
You know what? If if they were both on even ground, I would take Quinn because he's younger, he's got the longer legs. But I've seen how serious DJ takes things when people challenge him and people think that he can't do something. So I know that he's not kidding when he says he's been training for it. And so I think DJ just kind of we talked about it. Talent, if you outwork talent, you're gonna win, and I think DJ's gonna win because he's been, grinding like a bunny rabbit trying to get ready for this race.
It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I don't know if we're gonna get I don't know if we're going to get footage of this race to see on Friday, but we'll announce who wins the race. And I mean, let's be honest, both of them are going to be winners, especially if they're able to finish a 40-yard dash. So let's. I mean, look, there's a reason why you would not see me in a 40-yard dash. That's not going to happen. I would need oxygen at about 25 yards.
If DJ hits his goal and runs a 5.1, Quinn's toast. I don't think Quinn can run a 5.140.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Who you got? You asked me. Who you got?
I can see either one of them winning.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna
cop out.
I'm gonna go DJ because he's training for this. He has a very competitive nature about him. So yeah, I'll go DJ on this one. I think both of them will hopefully not kill themselves doing this. So. We'll see what happens. The big thing is both of them coming out of this healthy and will, have our company at full strength and no one kills themselves over this whole thing. So.
Well, we are one day closer to baseball at Scene Park, my friend.
Yeah, 1 week from Sunday, we'll get that thing started, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, doubleheader, Tuesdays and Thursdays for me. So I get to do.
2 weeks from Sunday.
Yeah, 2 weeks from Sunday. 2 weeks from Sunday. We'll get that thing started, and it should be a good time. I'm looking forward to a shortened season, nonetheless,
but jam-packed. I mean, they're
jam-packed, absolutely.
In time. But they're squeezing a lot of games into about a month and a half. So
yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed, Mother Nature.
That's the other part of this. Mother Nature is going to have to be really, really good when it comes to the weather. You can't have a lot of rainouts.
Last year we had an unbelievably rainy July, and then we had an unbelievably dry August.
Yes.
So. Hopefully that reverses.
Yeah, that would be nice if you can get July to be a very dry month. I think that we can probably get everything in, and then onward to football. Hopefully, knock on wood, we get a complete 10-game football season in. So
I think everything goes smooth with baseball. Then football is just get a full steam ahead. 10-game schedule. Works. So.
Yeah, and it's encouraging that everyone is now jumping in on the fact that even out west, with a conference that I thought was in serious trouble, the Pac-12, knock on wood, it appears that everyone is now getting on the same page, and we're going to have college football. Now, again, I don't know if it's going to be a normal college football season. That's to be determined. There's still a lot of
it's just how you define normal. I don't think we're going to see like the Buckeyes have a packed stadium. I don't think we're there yet.
No.
So it's not going to be normal in that sense.
No, but I think if you're looking at a third of the stadium, okay, Now here's the real question. If you have 40,000 season ticket holders in a 100,000 seat stadium and you're only allowed to put in 35,000, you're not selling any tickets then, obviously. Your season ticket holders will have full reign. Do you tell the 5,000 season ticket holders that, sorry about your luck?
I mean, I've never bought a season ticket for college football, but I'm guessing you buy them in like different packages.
Yeah.
So maybe they can take the ones that bought the more premium packages, and they be on the upper list of that, and then you just take the 5,000 ones that didn't buy the more premium package, and you just tell them that, hey, you can buy tickets to the single game, but we can't have 40,000 season ticket holders.
Well, and the other thing is, okay, if you're allowing all of the fans that are spending a boatload of money on the premium tickets, well, let's be honest, premium tickets are right next to each other. You can't have that.
Well,
you're gonna have to kick some of those people out.
You can have that. You just can spread it out. You know what I mean? Spread it out a little bit. Families can still sit together. That's pretty much the guidelines that we've been going with for summer. Is if you're part of the same household or part of the immediate family, you can sit together. So a lot of those season ticket holders get them for their families, so they'll be able to sit together. And but you're right, because you paid for the seat, you're not going to get the seat you paid for.
Yeah, sometimes you're not going to be able to do that.
What are they going to do with the marching band? Are they going to march?
That's the other
apart?
question.
I mean,
are you going to allow the marching band to be there? I mean, if you don't have a marching band for halftime entertainment, then shut this down. I don't want to see.
Well, that and it'd be weird to watch a college football game and not hear the fight song when someone scores a touchdown.
Well, that can be
pumped, but it just
eradicated by pumping it all in.
Yeah,
but
it just wouldn't sound the same.
No, it wouldn't sound the same. But I mean, if you're going to go with a football season and you're not going to have the halftime stuff, that's a tough sell for me. That's part of the pageantry of football, especially in the college end. The pro end, that's your halftime show is the halftime highlights if you're watching the game on TV.
Even more especially in the high school end, because there's several high schools in the area that take their band program very seriously.
Yeah.
Have a very good band in, and that whole halftime show is what they work all week for. So I'll be interested to see what they do with the bands in not just college, but high school as well.
Well, yeah, and that's the same thing with high school and college. I mean, if you don't have a halftime show, that's going to be a tough sell. To not have anything on the field for 15, 20 minutes, that's kind of a tough sell there. You'd better have a band. You better have that band to do a show. Even if you're not inviting let's say Boardman's playing Harding and the game is in Boardman. If you're not inviting the Warren Harding band because you don't want the road team to provide the band, okay, well then the home team has that entire run of it, and they can do a show during the home portion of the season, and obviously when you're on the road, you're not going to be there. So 5 games out of the year, your home marching band will be doing the entire halftime show. So I guess you do your summer band camp for a 20-minute show instead of a 10-minute show.
Yeah, and sometimes those 10-minute shows, I mean, it varies because it's high school, but there are someone where I know that they kind of struggle to put together a 10-minute show because they're limited on what they can play and how difficult the songs they can play. So when you have to add another probably 3 or 4 songs to fill 10 minutes, it's going to be a stretch, but I know people can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just,
I'm interested to see that.
High school and college football without the marching bands at halftime, I don't know if it's worth it.
You wouldn't have a call that says the band's out on the field without the band.
Yeah, exactly.
Come
on. You better have some sort of a marching band on the field at halftime because that's
not when the ball's in play.
Yeah, exactly. That's important. That's going to be just as important as the product on the field this fall, football-wise, whether it be high school or college. And again, the pros, you don't have a band to begin with. I mean, it's just if you're at a football game, there is a halftime show. Sometimes it is a band. Sometimes it's a novelty act. Other times it's not much of anything.
Imagine a pre-recorded halftime show if we go into that venture where the marching band isn't on the field but they record the songs. That wouldn't work at all.
It wouldn't work.
But
yeah,
if we're pumping the fight song in after touchdowns, and that might be the reality where the band pre-records their music during the week and they play the halftime show.
Yeah, and again, marching band on the field before the game playing the national anthem. Yeah. What do you do? I mean, okay, yeah, you can play the national anthem via a CD. Yeah, it's been done millions of times over in baseball, basketball, hockey. But there's something about high school and college football where you want to hear the home school do the national anthem.
It was so cool because I used to live in North Lima, and I was right down the street from the high school. Even if you weren't at the football game, you could hear the band.
Sure.
And that's always just fun, go out, sit in the front porch, hear the halftime show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, look, hopefully we have
it just shows,
as much normal.
It just shows there's a lot of logistics to work out besides what goes on the field. And I don't envy the people, especially in these big colleges, that have to work all that out because there's a lot to work out.
Yeah, there's a ton to work out when it's all said and done. And look, at the end of the day, I just want to get as close to normal as humanly possible. And it feels like we're starting to trend in that direction, which is a good thing.
Just happy that baseball is back and softball is back too. They're the first USA affiliated tournament in Ohio is happening this weekend in Ashland. So softball is back, baseball is back, and that's always fun and exciting.
Now let's get the major leaguers to get back as well, and that would be nice. And that would be
said it before.
Fantastic.
The big guys are easier to shut down than the youth, but then it flips, it mirrors. The youth is a lot easier to pull back up. And the youth the big major league sports are harder to logistically restart.
Well, hopefully cooler heads are going to prevail. And I like John Parado's idea of just having a news blackout where you don't give any information to anybody. Let the owners and the players work out this agreement. Don't make any waves one way or the other. And just concentrate on the negotiations instead of trying to get your point across via social media or MLB Network or whatever avenue you use.
Unfortunately, I think we've passed the point of no return to that because the owners and everyone, they've already opened Pandora's box. Everyone knows what the conversation is being had. So even if you black it out now, then it's going to turn into Jaws where you never see the shark, but it's scarier because you don't see it. And people's imaginations are going to run wild if they don't see. They already know kind of what the conversation's about, but then they don't know what's happening behind closed doors. It might turn worse.
Well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot of things need to be done in order for Major League Baseball to get back to playing ball on the 4th of July. And that will hopefully happen very, very soon. That'll do it for the Wednesday edition of Running Points. Many thanks to John Parado, Doug Phillips, Tom Callahan, our guests for the day. We will do it again on Friday, noon to 3 on YSNLive.com. Have a great